Okay, so the reason why you guys are getting gameplay this month is because some fuckers stole my phone at Blue Ridge Rock Fest, and this was possibly one of the worst festivals I've ever been to. But I'm gonna get that rant aside right now, and we're just gonna kick off this video. I think that this album has a similar energy to their Love and Anxiety in Real Time album back in 2021. But I feel like this album I enjoy a little bit more just because of the same infectious pop rock riffs, and not to mention the smooth as butter vocals just always seem to complement the songs with every re-listen. The drums on the Maine self-titled project is just so danceable, and the lyrics are just as catchy. The guitars are super smooth, or they just have this wavy and bouncy groove to it that just really makes you feel so much positivity, like on Dose Number 2 and Leavin' 5 being my favorites on the album. But then songs that are a little slower in pacing or on the more emotional ballad side, like Funny How, are just so great. And also, check out this picture of me in the Maine from Sad Summer this year. Promotion aside, love this project. Jesus Christ, I feel like this is my first real dive into a full project from the front bottom, so I don't have much to say in depth about the instrumental side of things, but I do really enjoy the songwriting and the indie rock sound that they have kind of made their own with their very kind of melodramatic emo vocals that are most associated with Midwest emo or indie or something along those lines. The indie rock duo, I believe, have some bangers on this project. I do like Outlook, Punching Bag, Clear Path is a personal favorite. Paris, Fake Gold, Batman. All of these songs I thought were pretty noteworthy. I thought that this album was pretty uninspired. I feel like anyone could have made this indie emo combination that Teenage Wrist put out. I thought that the vocals were kind of bland as well, and I didn't really like the production that much either. I thought that it was kind of blown out and over-compressed in my opinion. Yeah, not really an album I think I've returned to. Sadly, I think that Caskets kind of hit that sophomore slump that some bands can't really avoid. Even though in retrospect, the songs that I really enjoyed, like Believe, More Than Misery, By the Sound, Silhouettes, and my favorite song, and the one that I love literally than any other Caskets song, Guiding Light. I thought that these songs were wonderful, but the ones that I didn't mention, I just can't really say I remember them too much because they just blend so much to me. I would also like to say that I thought their first effort in 2021 was very enjoyable, and I also enjoyed Lost Souls just a lot more than I did with Reflections. I'm on the moon, I cry balloons, they black and blue tonight, and I throw me in the... I have a soft spot for Noname's 2016 project Telephone, as I thought it was a great mix of neo-soul and traditional modern rapping style for the time, and it created a very wonderful masterpiece. Sundial, I would say, has a lot of those same elements, but I think that Noname is able to show off more of her diversity and versatility between genres and styles, and even fusions in that way, and even in a more listenable way. Songs like Oblivion, Namesake, Beauty Supply is full of versatile flows and heartwarming or heartbreaking storytelling that will really get you on the first listen. Songs like Balloons and Hold Me Down show off her singing voice, which I feel hasn't really changed at all that much, but I just think that Noname has always had a great vocal melody and tone, even if it does sound kind of amateurish at times. This album is a great project in the rap sphere. Baby, I'm right here, I won't hide. Please don't let me go. It still permeates of the over-bloated emo rapper album sickness that is just way too prevalent still in rap, but I feel like this album as a whole actually shows a little bit more of a cohesive project, as a lot of the instrumentals are these very mellow acoustic guitar beats, and at least Trippie Red tries to make the songs unique with the different choruses, but a lot of the choruses are just lazy and repeated with the same Trippie vocals that we've heard for years at this point. Former frontman of Chiodos, current frontman of Destroy, Rebuild Until God Shows, dropped an album full of his greatest hits that have been remastered into acoustic versions or something similar to that on Volume 1. Drugs is one of my favorite bands at the moment, and I also got to see the performance of this album a few months ago in June, as you guys can see on my channel. And not to mention, I also got to see them at Blue Ridge, but I was not able to share you guys the footage because all the footage was on my phone that got stolen. I'm sorry, I'm still salty about that. I thought that Craig's vocals were breathtaking, as they always are, and I just cannot recommend this to anyone who is a fan of the previous bands that I mentioned before. It really is worth a listen. The best part of this album was probably the vocal performance, but even then, it's like a 6 out of 10 at best. I just found this project to be just not very standout in the indie pop sphere of music. Especially the instrumentals, which I saw as kind of weak or just maybe a little too I've heard this chord progression before. 2 years ago, I had not been able to listen to Smiling with No Teeth before I put it in my best of list for the year, and I thought that it was an absolute delight of genre fusions and great vocal melodies that add so much elements that just Genesis Owusu basically made his own sound of music at this point. This album sort of takes a little bit more of the punk side of Owusu, and the sound is a little bit more lower in tone at points, but he also does get into like music, like house music, and there's just many different things on this album that you can pick apart and you will enjoy. That does not take away about how great the percussion is on this album as well. Every single song just makes you want to dance to at least some point during the song, or will have you singing along just because of how catchy Genesis' vocals are. Putting it in a quick recap, it's not enough credit to give for this project, but to summarize, it's a hip-hop slash funk rock slash art pop piece that contains no skips and is possibly a candidate for Album of the Year, and not in just my eyes, but in a lot of other people's eyes as well. I started liking these guys after seeing them open for Sleeping with Sirens last year, and they also performed at Blue Ridge 2022, so I was able to catch their set during that time, but I just see this album as a pretty drastic drop in quality. Their 2020 project wasn't anything special, but I did find the choruses and the pretty decent rock instrumentals somewhat amusing. But this one I can't really say I remember about much besides from the feature from the Ghost Inside on Safe and Sound. But even then, his feature basically saves a pretty generic song. I thought that this band was kind of overhyped, and after listening to this project, I just really can't say I enjoy Orbit Culture's style of progressive metal, which I think just drones on for a little bit too long, and I just don't think I'd have this on any of my playlists. I'm never gonna give you what you want me to give you, never play. An album that I kind of added last minute because I completely forgot that it dropped. Movements drops another perfect album. I just love Movements so much. Feel Something is one of my favorite albums of all time, and RUCKUS is just full of banger after banger. Killing Time, Lead Pipe, Heaven Sent, Tightrope, Fail You, Dance with Death, You're One of Us Now. All of these songs, I just love them so much, and I cannot wait to show you guys that footage when that gets dropped. You fucking loser! Red me, deadbeat, fucking tumor, can't believe I let your hands inside my boot. Going from her 2021 mixtape Demi Devil, which I actually enjoyed somewhat, as Ashnikko's pro-feminist lyrics and her very diverse instrumentals really combine and just give a lot of personality to her music as well. What the fuck happened? This is just literally not what Ashnikko needed for her debut album. The production on this album is just god-awful, and she never used to have a problem with production in the past. But it's almost like her sound got commercialized, so she almost had to play it way too safe on the album, and I feel like that's what the biggest issue that I have with this project is. And it is genuinely disappointing to see Ashnikko discography go down in this direction. My god, Asking Alexandria is back. Well, okay, they never left, but old-time Asking Alexandria fans know what I mean. They have finally found that middle ground between their older metalcore roots from the first 3 albums, and then the softer alt-rock sound that they have been putting out since Danny had returned to the band. And this album is just way too good. Danny's vocals are just 300% improved since the 2021 album, and the instrumentation of these songs are so well put together, and just some of my favorite instrumentations of Asking Alexandria's music ever. Bad Blood's insane drum fills during the chorus, the glitch rock aesthetics on Things Could Be Different, the trap beats might be a little overkill on Psycho, but I think they combine with the guitars pretty decent. The melodramatic nature that Dark Void and Nothing Left has, with Danny's vocals really taking center stage. I could go on and on about this album, but it is just mind-boggling that Asking Alexandria created an album this good in 2023, but fucking believe it. Pretty okay indie rock album from a band that I've never heard before. This band I've been into since seeing them open for Dayseeker back in April of last year, and I checked out their Greatest Mistake of My Life album, and it quickly became a personal favorite melodic post-hardcore project for me. I don't think necessarily that Holding Absence try anything too different on this project in terms of how their music sounds as a whole, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The vocal performances do match the ever-emotional lyrics that are just like bread and butter. In the McDonald's parking lot, the cops stand around like there's nothing to do. I love this band's sound, I can admit. I have not gotten into Spanish love songs that much, but they are opening for Hot Mulligan soon, so for right now, I'll just say that I love the overdramatic timbre of the vocals, and the instrumentals are soothing as well. And not to mention, the songwriting does dive deep with personal struggles and even dealing with your own introversions on songs like Cleanup Crew. But I did enjoy this album with the little context I had of this band.
Welcome to your new reality.
The first 6 tracks are actually all pretty good. The intro track, Hard Reset, Strange Love, One of Us with No Sebastian of Bad Omens, New Reality, and Hate Me with Loveless are actually pretty solid tracks. But after that, for the next 5 tracks, it's just really blended generic alt metal. But then the album does end pretty well with Nocturnal Future and War With You. With From First to Last, yes, Skrillex decided to start screaming again. And not gonna lie, I actually kind of enjoyed it. Really, I just see this album having just the most middle-of-the-road score I can give it, because it basically has the same amount of problems as it does good things to admire about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the background of whatever the hell I put during this video. Like I said, yeah, my camera got stolen during Blue Ridge, so kind of had to improvise here with the video stuff. But the phone is on the way, shouldn't be too long. Concert videos shouldn't slow down, hopefully. Got a lot of stuff coming up, so I hope to see you guys later, and I'll talk to you all later.